Jay Gruden here. I'm going to look at the Washington Commanders free agent frenzy, what happened with their roster. They did some good things. They still have some things to address, especially during a draft, which I think they will. But for the most part, I feel like they did a pretty good job. Starting with the kicking game, Zane Gonzalez returns. He had a solid year on the back half of the season. I think it's a good player to have on your football team. And then there's always an opportunity to get a good college free agent after the draft is over to come in and compete with Zane. Then punter Tressway, they re-signed to a one-year deal. You got to have him. Just like the Cinderella song, don't know what you got till it's gone. You don't want to lose your punter. Tress has been one of the best in the business for multiple years. He can boom it and flip the field position, and he's very accurate when you're trying to pin the opposing team back inside the 10-yard line. Great move by re-signing Tressway. I'm going to flip over to the defense. The defensive line is very, very under scrutiny right now. Obviously, the whole intent for this offseason for the Commanders and Adam Peters and the rest of the staff was to address the defensive line and try to stop Saquon Barkley. They added Eddie Goldman, a defensive lineman, played for the Bears. He went to Florida State. He's a good run stopper. They added Javon Kinlaw. He played with the Jets and the 49ers, a mammoth human being. Not much of a pass rusher, an underachiever pretty much his whole career, but he does have the size, the athletic ability to shed blocks, get off blocks, and stop the running game of the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed Dietrich Wise from the New England Patriots, who's a defensive end, more of a run-stopping defensive end, a physical kid. I actually played with his dad in the Arena Football League. That's how old I'm getting. Shout out to Dietrich Wise Sr. Love that guy. But Dietrich is a good player, a hard-nosed player, a very tough physical player, not a great pass rusher, not a lot of sack production. But again, he will try to stop the run. They also signed a guy named Jacob Martin from Chicago. He's got 21 career sacks. I don't consider him a pass rushing specialist by any stretch. They re-signed Cleveland Farrell, another run-stopping defensive end, and Sheldon Day, a defensive tackle who plays good in spurts as far as the rotation is concerned. They have Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, and Johnny Newton. But where is the pass rush going to come from? That is my biggest concern about the defensive line. Sure, they got some big bodies to stop the run, but eventually they're going to have to stop the forward pass because Philadelphia does have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. The Cowboys got C.D. Lamb, and the Giants have Malik Neighbors, and the Rams have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. So they got to get some pass rush help. I would expect them to go early and often in the NFL draft to get a pass rusher in here. And there is a number 11 for the Dallas Cowboys who has not signed a long-term deal yet. You never know. Maybe Micah comes to Washington. Who knows? But they got to address the pass rush situation. Linebacking crew, great job by re-signing Bobby Wagner. I mean, this guy's had over 100 tackles in 13 consecutive years. This guy's a war daddy. He's a leader. He's great for your culture. He gets everybody lined up. It's a no-brainer to re-sign Bobby Wagner because he makes Frankie Luvu a lot better. Frankie now can move around. He can be a pass rusher off the edge. He can rush in the A gaps or the B gaps. He can move him around a little bit, use him as a chess piece to try to get some additional pass rush. But Bobby Wagner, the addition to re-sign him was a great move by Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. The cornerback situation, obviously Mike Sainristil and Marshawn Lattimore are back. I see them keeping Mike at the corner because he did a great job. They drafted him to be a nickel, moved him out to corner. He did an unbelievable job the second half of the season. So I imagine Marshawn and Mike will be the corner bookends. They added a guy named Jonathan Jones. He's a corner nickel safety hybrid. He played for New England out of Auburn. He's a guy that can move around, play a lot of different spots. I love his versatility. He will match with Noah Igbognaguni. It's hard to say that name, but he started nickel last year at the end, so that secondary will be in place. Now, they lost Jeremy Chin. That's a big concern. Jeremy had a good year. Now, he's a physical safety, and they added Will Harris, a safety from New Orleans. Safety, nickel, corner, another guy with great versatility to really fit into Dan Quinn's scheme. You know, you got to be versatile this day and age to play secondary in the National Football League because sometimes your nickel turns into playing safety. Sometimes you get bounced out the corner. Man-to-man, you're outside on an island. So it's good to have versatility, and Jonathan Jones brings that from New England because at New England, we all know when Bill Belichick was there, they played a lot of different coverages, a lot of different man-to-man concepts, and they moved around their secondary quite a bit. So he's got to be smart, and that'll go a long way with their team. And then the safeties will pretty much stay the same, the free safeties with Quan Martin and Percy Butler. So they're okay at safety, but that's the way their defense goes. I think they re-signed the guys they needed to re-sign. They got some help for bigger bodies up front after losing Jonathan Allen. But now they really, really have to address the pass rush situation. Now we'll flip over to the offensive side of the ball. We all know Jaden Daniels is back and returning, and you got to have a good backup. And they re-signed Marcus Mariota, which is great. And then the receiving core, Terry McLaurin's intact, obviously. And then the trade for Deebo Samuel, I think, is going to work out tremendously because Deebo can do a lot of different things in the slot, outside, in the backfield, wherever it may be. He can take a short pass and roll with it, run over people, and he can block. We've already mentioned the strengths of Deebo's game, and he's a solid player. Luke McCaffrey will come back. They added Noah Brown back from last year. They re-signed him, so that's a good sign. They added Michael Gallup from Dallas, which is an interesting sign. He had a lot of production at Dallas for some time, but, he's tapered off a little bit with some injuries, but he's a good training camp competition guy to come in and play. They lost De'Ami Brown. They lost OZ. They lost Jameson Crowder. So to fill that production, obviously Deebo Samuel, Luke McCaffrey will have to step up. Michael Gallup maybe. So they have some bodies intact, and they can always add a receiver 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round to come in and compete in training camp. And you never know. There's been a lot of good receivers in those rounds that have really helped football teams be successful, and I expect them to attack the receiver position in the middle to late rounds. And then a tight end. I love the fact that they re-signed Zach Ertz and obviously John Bates. Zach Ertz had almost 700 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns last year. He's Jaden Daniels' security blanket. Very important to keep him back. It's a 1-year deal, but you can't go wrong re-signing Zach Ertz. And John Bates is a physical player at the point of attack to really help that running game succeed, to keep them on balance. You don't want to turn Jaden Daniels into just a true drop back guy. Let's get him outside. We got to be able to run the ball between the tackles. And in order to do that, you got to have a tight end that can block at the point of attack, and John Bates can do that. And hopefully Ben Sinnott will have some time to still develop as a tight end of the future for the Commander offense. The running back position stays intact with Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler. They re-signed Chris Rodriguez, I believe, and Jeremy McNichols. McNichols came in. He's been on like 10 different teams, plays his role on third down and special teams. I still think, with the amount of running backs in this year's draft, I still think the Washington Commanders will take a running back somewhere in the 4th or 5th round if they have the pick. I can't remember how many picks they have left, the 6th round. There's enough good backs to go around in this year's draft to get a quality player to compete in training camp in the 6th round. And then offensive line, we talked about Laremy Tunsil already. He's a great signing for them, a trade actually from Houston, a great pass blocker. They move him in to solidify the left side of the offensive line. Broderick Coleman did a good job last year. I don't think they're done with him by any stretch. I think they can put him at guard, but to be a backup swing tackle is very important this day and age because people get injured and you're going to have to play significant minutes. Andrew Wiley's a right tackle. He's getting older, so to have 3 really good tackles is important. I love what they did with Tunsil. Laremy, quit getting penalties. You had 19 penalties last year. That's too many. They got to rein those in. Negative plays on offense with this team is a bad thing. So Laremy Tunsil, you got to rein in your penalties, man, and play smart because you can be one of the best tackles in the National Football League. Allegretti will still be left guard. Tyler Biadasz will be the center. We all know how much I like him. They added Nate Herberg and Michael Dieter. Nate Herberg has been a journeyman. He's been on 3 different teams, I believe, Eagles, Pittsburgh. Big, huge guy. It's good to have these guys that have played multiple spots. I think he has 30 career starts, but he can play center, left guard, and right guard, and have that versatility is important because we know 17-game season, you got to have a lot of depth on the offensive line. Nobody knows that more than I do. I went through 35 different line combinations one year at Washington, so you got to have plenty of players that can suit up and play. So pretty much that's their offseason. I think they did an excellent job. I think they kept the core of the football team intact, which you have to do. They added some key pieces like Laremy Tunsil and Deebo Samuel. They re-signed key players like Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner. Marshawn Lattimore will get better. They added Will Harris in the secondary. So now the biggest issue is we got to get after the quarterback somewhere, somehow. Somebody's got to come in this building and really rush the passer for 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 9. I don't see where that's coming from right now. Hopefully Johnny Newton, Jerron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong, those guys can get it done. But we need a pass rusher big time, and hopefully that'll come in the draft. Clean Pocket is sponsored by BetterHelp. Think about your favorite leaders, mentors, and idols. They don't have all the answers, but they do know when to ask questions or seek support from their community. I can remember back in 2008, I was coaching with my brother for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He got fired. I got fired. Then when I was working with the Arena League as a head coach, the Arena League folded. So not only did I get fired from my brother's job in Tampa Bay, the Arena League, who I worked for and played for, also folded. So I had to rely on family and other people that I grew up with just to talk to and have some support and try to figure out my next move with 2 young children. It's very important to have a support group, tight family people, friends that know you and what you like, and also what you need to do moving forward, and have the confidence in your abilities as well. So it's a very difficult situation you can run into, but having help other than yourself trying to figure it out, or somebody you can talk to and help along the way, is very, very important. BetterHelp can be that support system for you. BetterHelp is a fully online therapy service that serves over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credited therapists with a wide range of specialties. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/pocket today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pocket.